Today, I am doing one of the most difficult rankings known to mankind, which is my monstera collection. And yes, that statement might be a tad bit dramatic, but ranking these plants has honestly been one of the most difficult things I've had to do on this here channel, but I am doing it today. Hello, my name is Palisa. Welcome to Plants and Things, where we talk about plants and things. So I'm going to be ranking 6 plants today, which does include my Rhaphidophora tetrasperma or mini monstera plants, which of course is the normal kind and the variegated kind. And the reason why this ranking is so difficult is because unlike my Syngonium collection, where there are clear bad guys and good guys, this one they're so similar in my affections that I'm like, oh, it was very difficult to split hairs. I'm literally splitting hairs about these plants because, yeah, my affection levels are similar and I just love them all most of the time. And there are very little difficulties that I've experienced. Probably the difficulties are that it, like a plant growing too slow, which isn't really a difficulty, it's just impatience. So let's get into it. Number 6 on my list is a very controversial one, and it is my Monstera albo. Now, this plant is super dry, and I actually decided not to water it before I finish filming this bit because then I would have water dripping everywhere. So I will water this plant immediately after this because it is super dry. So this plant was a slow grower, but I don't know whether that's true actually because I did say that when I got this plant, I was told not to cut it. I was told not to propagate for a month, and I didn't propagate for a month, and then I cut it up. And it was like an autumn. Why am I saying October? It was an autumn, so the plant took really long to start going, and I think I lost 2 propagations. But these are the plants that are left. It's 3 of them. Yeah, there are 2 in this pot, and there's this one. And this is leaning so badly. It's leaning so badly, and that's totally on me. I don't do any turnings. But anyway, I think if I had done this collection video before now, this plant definitely would be like a definite at the end. Whereas now I'm like, no, I really, really like the plant, but I had to put somebody last. I had to put somebody last, and this plant is it. And the reason I would have put this plant last is because when I got it, the leaves were so crusty looking. They were so crusty looking. Honestly, look at this. It's like, what was going on there? But anyway, the leaves that have grown in my home look really, really pretty. And I think my big thing would have been like wanting more variegation from the plant. But you know what? It's really cute. This is the latest leaf, and it is the biggest one. So I have decided to put this plant on a moss pole and like put them all together in a roundabout. And I don't know whether I will maintain that. I don't know whether I will maintain the turning, but I want to challenge myself to do it because this plant is leaning too badly and there are roots coming out. But yeah, I do want to put the plant on a moss pole. I really think the leaves are cute, and I finally got my first fenestration from this plant collection, I shall say. So I have been enjoying it. It's not, I think what I had wanted first and foremost was, I think they call it the white tiger variety. I don't know, where it's like super, super, super variegated. But actually, I really like this plant. I like the new leaves that are coming out where it's like, it's like a dignified old lady and she's just popping out her leaves and it's super cute. And so I really like it. It is in desperate need of a plan. I do recognize that, and I will give it a plan very soon. I have decided to put it on moss pole. I just have to decide what moss pole to put it on. And so honestly, the only reason that this plant is lost is because it's just growing slow. But like I said, that's not a real problem. That's more of an impatience problem. So yeah, that's plant number 6. 5th on my list is my non-variegated Rhaphidophora tetrasperma, otherwise known as the mini monstera. And honestly, if I'd done this list a couple of months ago, this plant would probably have been higher or really lower, as in it would have been more of a favorite. Um, but things have changed, and I definitely still love it. Definitely still a gorgeous plant. But I think the main thing working against it is how the leaves have sized down. But yeah, still a great plant. Love that it's in my bedroom. Love that I get to look at it all the time. But somebody does need to be number five. This is my Rhaphidophora tetrasperma, and I honestly love how really full this plant is at the bottom. So I was doing a bit of a close up, but yeah, this plant is kind of leaning towards the sun, but it also is looking absolutely gorgeous. It is growing on these little clippy things that look like leaves. And yeah, it's just a joy and a delight to have grown this plant. But as I mentioned, it is doing a whole thing where the leaves are sizing down for reasons unknown to me. That will be investigated. But yeah, I also decided to start moving this plant this way because in the video where I spoke about how I keep my tetrasperma happy and healthy, these two were growing into each other, and I honestly didn't like how that looked. So this does look so much better. But yeah, this plant is enjoyable, and as I said, the only reason it's up so high is because of this situation here. I have been thinking about cutting and propagating it, but I have not taken the cut, and I think that's because it is December and it is holiday soon, and I am going to be away from home for a week and then away for like 2 to 3 weeks, so I don't know what my plan is, but I definitely do not need more plants to take care of while I'm away. I don't even know that they'll be getting taken care of, but anyway, this is this plant, and yeah, still just gorgeous and enjoyable, and barely loses any leaves. Honestly, I forgot to mention that. I've never mentioned that before. This plant honestly barely loses any leaves, which is super cool. But I am trying to fill this up again, which is why I want to propagate, not just to have more plants. But yeah, love it. Sitting in a macrame that I made and enjoy. It is not the sturdiest because there's like a lot of macrame at the back, but like in the front. So yeah, but we are where we are. Fourth on my list is a plant that's been really working its way back into my affections, and it's my monstera adansonii. And in direct contravention to what I said with the monstera albos, where I didn't water the plant because I didn't want to spill water everywhere, I actually just watered this plant, and the water seems like it wants to spill everywhere. So yeah, I don't know what my plan is. This plant is honestly so gorgeous, and actually I think this variety is the normal. This like the regular variety, and the other one that I have, which is here, and I will randomly fetch, is what is it called? This is the. I'm gonna find the word and I'm gonna put it. But these leaves are chubbier, and these ones are like skinnier, and I really love the chubby leaves. And yeah, I'm going to work at filling this up a bit more, but I think this plant is absolutely gorgeous. I have spoken about how it looks absolutely gorgeous in the planter. So I had planted 2 plants in here, and one of them was definitely a propagation of this plant. I have been mixing these plants around so much that I'm like, which one is the regular kind and which one is not? And yeah, so I think this one is the regular kind, and I think this one is the other kind. And this one is my favorite. I love the chubby leaves. Have I spoken enough about these leaves? I will continue to do so. I absolutely love the chubby leaves. I love the planter. Yeah, and so I do want to cut it up and like start chopping and propping, but I'm gonna let it grow. I really love how it's growing as well, where it's like I have started spilling now. Where it's growing out of the planter, and there's more, at least there's more than one growth point. So at least I'll have 2 plants coming out of this plant. But yeah, but it definitely is a close one between number 4 and number 3. And I suspect that I'm giving number 3 pointers for simply being alive. But yeah, this plant is simply gorgeous. The leaves are really gorgeous. I want to do a whole thing, I think, where I want to prop them up against a wall and let it grow on these cable ties like I do with my Rhaphidophora tetrasperma. But this plant doesn't like sunlight. It doesn't like direct sunlight. And so I'm going to need to find it a spot that does not have direct sunlight, but is also close to the window. So for now, I'm going to keep on keeping it on my bookshelf, but it really is really gorgeous. And it also is super easy to take care of, because before I watered it, it was super dry. And I realized it was super dry, I think maybe yesterday or 2 days ago, and was like, yes, I must come water this plant. And then I did not water this plant, and I'm watering the plant now. So it really is a plant that keeps, and it also doesn't have the dry tips from being, okay, this random leaf does, but I don't know what happened with this random leaf, but all these other leaves have been getting underwatered for the most part. I don't think there's any overwatering going on in this home anymore. And it's been keeping, and it's been growing so beautifully. So it definitely deserves its position as number 4. And I think if I didn't love the top 2 plants, and if the third plant didn't surprise me, I think this would have been much higher on the list as well. But that's number 4. Third on my list is my Rhaphidophora tetrasperma. And honestly, this plant is probably so high up because it survived. I did tell the story about how I bought it and it had I think it had 2 leaves, 2 fenestrated. I don't know whether they fenestrated, but anyway, it had 2 beautiful leaves. And so I bought it, and then the leaves started falling off as soon as it came home. But I will admit that that was in winter. And so I will not be buying plants in winter ever again. But anyway, then I got scared and I quickly put it in my propagation box. And then in spring, it started going again. And now we have these 3 almost half moon they're such pretty leaves. They're so pretty and they're just cute, and it just chugs along. And yeah, it's a plant that I thoroughly enjoy. Very easygoing. And I think, again, it's so high up because I have been trying to take out my Alocasia frydek from the propagation box, and it just dries up. The leaves just dry up. So it is not here for the humidity thing. And I am not getting a humidifier. So I've tried to do a cloche. Is it called a cloche? Cloche. I will put the actual name of the thing to make it have humidity, because I'm not getting a humidifier, but it can't live in the propagation box forever. But anyway, to go back, I just love that this plant is super easygoing in direct contrast to this Alocasia frydek. And it's also growing these cute little half moon leaves. I was very much at a point I just need this plant to grow so I can sell it. But I think I will keep it for longer. But I am excited to try propagate it, because I just can't imagine how much more difficult propagating a variegated Rhaphidophora tetrasperma will be, knowing how utterly difficult it was to propagate just the normal variety of Rhaphidophora tetrasperma. So that is something that I would like to do in the future. But before I get to that, I would like it to grow these super beautiful leaves. I kind of want to do the same thing I am doing with my Rhaphidophora tetrasperma with this plant, where it's being pasted on the walls. Of course, there is an infinite space in this tiny apartment, so I don't know how that will go. But right now, it's really just been cute. It's just been cute. And I like it. So those are all the reasons why it's number 3. But this plant and the Monstera adansonii are neck and neck, kind of, but also maybe there is just a hair's breadth difference in my affections between the 2 of them. And because both of them were in my bad books for a bit, and now they back to my good books. But I also have mentioned that this list is really based on vibes. And so, yeah, that's number 3. These last 2 plants were so very difficult to figure out. But in the end, honestly, number 2 on the list is my Monstera Tycon, which is super dry and keeps on being dry. And also has this gorgeous new leaf. In the previous video where you saw this plant, it was popping out this new leaf. And this new leaf is honestly so just absolutely gorgeous. Just absolutely gorgeous. Sizing up, the other plants have more. This one has more fenestrations, but This one is bigger and it has these crinkles on this leaf, and it's just a super gorgeous plant. It is growing all over the show. That is what that is. It is getting drier, like the roots, which you might not be able to see, but the roots are like starting to gather at the bottom. And so I am wanting to pot it up. And I am thinking between like getting a bigger terracotta pot, because this planter is too big for this decorative pot. But so I either was thinking of getting a bigger one, like a bigger clear pot into this, or just getting a like terracotta set for this plant. So let me know what you think in the comments below. But yeah, this plant is honestly so easy. And before I got this plant, because this plant is still pricey, it was still pricey when I got it, pricier than it is now, and now it's really pricey. Is it really pricey? Okay, it's still a bit pricey now, but yeah. So I was very scared when I got this plant, because a lot of the stuff on the internet is very much about how difficult this plant is to take care of, and I have experienced none of that. This plant is just easy going. I am a bit hesitant to repot it, because I think maybe that's where the difficulty might come, and I hope not. But from just what I've experienced with this plant, that's completely not true. This plant is just so easy to take care of. In my house, the plants get underwatered quite a bit. They also sometimes get overwatered. A big thing that people said was that it doesn't like wet feet. Did people say that? People did say it. The one thing that I did watch was about how I'm supposed to water it and then let it drip dry and then put it back into the planter. And I did say how I did that for 2 seconds and then was like, this is not sustainable for me. And so now I started watering it while it's in here, and then the water would gather at the bottom. Then I would pour the water out, and at a point that also got to be just too much. And so now I just leave it in there, and I'm hoping all the best. I don't try to overwater it on purpose, but you know, you'll be fine. And these roots are just healthy, growing really, really well. And there's a random new one, the newest one going down. Ooh, let me not let this thing fall. Anyway, so I am really enjoying this plant. I'm struggling to find a place. It currently actually sits on this table, which is actually a dining table. So yeah, but the combo is mismatched. So she is going to be moving to a new place. But yeah, just a gorgeous plant that is super easy to take care of. Yeah, and I've enjoyed. It's actually lived up to my expectations. Whereas, not to slander the elbow, but that one really did not live up to my expectations, but this one definitely has. Number one on my list, I'm sure to no one's surprise, is my Monstera deliciosa. This plant is honestly so gorgeous, and it is getting too heavy for me to like try carry it to this table every time I talk about it. And it's also so big that both of us can't be in the frame together to see the whole plant. But this plant is just gorgeous. I did say in the last video where I showed this plant that I would dust this plant, and I haven't gotten around to dusting the plant, but it's still just so gorgeous. It's gotten 3 new leaves. I have 3 plants in here, which is ill-advised. It is ill-advised because how am I going to take them out when they grow too big for this pot? And I'm not planning on breaking this pot so that to like take the plants out. That is definitely not happening. But it's just a gorgeous plant. It's at the fenestration level, but I do have this dinky other like a smaller leaf. I don't know whether you can see it. And I do think it is cute when you have the smaller leaves and the bigger leaves, or just the big leaves. It's really just a beautiful plant. Super easy to take care of. Just super enjoyable as a plant. And I think even like one of the things that I would like to do is capture an unfurling leaf. I just need to get a camera and also because you clean the house, I just don't know what the logistics of that would be, because the camera would like need to not ever be moving as the plant is doing its thing. So I would like to do that one of these days. I don't know when that will be, because I think it would be so cool to see the timestamp of what this plant is doing all day long for like a week as this one leaf is unfurling. But yes, this plant is super gorgeous. It's growing in such a wonderful way as well. I will like insert a thing where you can see how it fully grows on its own and not just on this table where I carried it to. But yeah, it's just a thoroughly enjoyable plant. Like, I do not get tired of looking at this plant, and I think this plant is a testament to, like, there are no regular plants. Like, God just makes amazing plants. Like, all of them have the beautiful thing, and this is such a classic, affordable, this, you basically can get this plant anywhere and it just will spruce up. I almost said zhuzh up, but spruce up any place that you place it in. And it is super easy to take care of, because I have this one growing. It gets like great afternoon light, but I have a propagation from this plant growing in my office where it gets no direct light, and that plant is pushing out leaves. The leaves aren't as big or have fenestrations, but it's still like, it's still growing and it's still being beautiful. So I think it's a plant that you can grow possibly everywhere. I don't know about outside in direct sunlight though, but yeah, I think it's a plant that grows in a variety of places and ways, and just always doing something new that's super beautiful. I think this plant also is definitely like in my list of most favorite plants. I don't want to say it's my favoritist one. I think it really might be though. But because I have my golden pothos that I got from my grandmother or from my grandmother's plant, and I have my white butterfly that I got from my mom. So this plant, if I had to keep 5 plants, is definitely on that list. So it's not even just the top of my monstera list, but it's just top of my plants that I absolutely love list and that I enjoy. And yeah, it's a plant that I recommend everybody to have in their plant collection, because super affordable, super easy, super gorgeous. So yep, that is it for today. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know what's in your monstera collection, and like the video if you enjoyed it, and be sure to subscribe if you haven't done so already, and I'll see you next time. Bye.